26. 26. 26. 26, 26. Okay, here we go. Hello, Mike Grabham here. We're answering question 26 of the top 29 questions asked by founders that keep them up at night. And question 26 is, how do I deal with conflict between co-founders or partners? Well, this is something that you need to understand, is how you deal with conflict. It's super critical because it's going to happen. It happens in every company, every startup. There is conflict. Conflict is actually good. It's how it's managed and how you process it that sometimes is bad. So, what are ways to help manage conflict in a startup? Well, before you ever become partners, here's what you should be doing. You should understand how you're going to disagree. And this is the conversation you need to have. Literally sit down, have a glass of wine or beer or whatever, glass of water or tea, I don't care what it is, but just sit down and face each other and say, okay, if we disagree with each other, how do we handle it? Okay, so here's some things like from a legal side, there's never a 50-50 partnership. Please. You've heard me say it. Please don't have a 50-50 partnership. Someone needs to be 51 and someone needs to be 49. There needs to be someone that can make the final decision when there is a disagreement. So that is critical from a legal standpoint. I've seen companies blow up just because they weren't smart enough to do something different than a 50-50 arrangement. So be smart and don't do 50-50. So that's from a legal standpoint. The more, a culture is, okay, how do we deal with disagreements? Well, there should be a process where and again, it doesn't have to necessarily be written down, but there should be a process that you as a partners go through. Maybe there's 3 partners and you have a disagreement, right? So sit down and talk through it and understand, again, before you're ever partners, this should be done before you're ever partners, is understanding how each one deals with conflict. So there's going to be different personality traits in the room. Some people will run away from it. Some people don't want to deal with it face to face. Some people need to write about it. I mean, there's all these things where the way people handle conflict. And so you need to understand that not everyone's the same as you. Now, if you happen to be lucky enough that all 3 or all of the partners, you and the other partner, all deal with it the same, then that's great. But most of the time, that's probably not going to happen. So understand that everyone deals with conflict differently. So you need to understand where the common ground are so you can communicate to get the disagreement out of the way. And here's some things that I've learned over the years. Having a good advisor that can come in and kind of help you through some of these things is also worth the price of gold. I mean, I've done that a few times with different people, different companies where the co-founders were disagreeing on a few things. And I literally just asked questions and we kind of worked through it. It's not hard to do, especially easy for a third party that's done some of this stuff in negotiations and things. So have an advisor or someone that's not super close to either one of you that can give you unbiased feedback about the situation. Critical piece there, unbiased. They can't be like your dad and somebody, and that just doesn't work. So unbiased feedback. So that's important to have somebody that can do that. And then also, you need to understand the why. Why is this agreement happening? Understand why someone wants something. And literally ask the question, why do you want it that way? Why do you want it this way? Here's why I want it. Understand the motivation, because that's where you start to understand where things may be a little off base, is the motivation. And I've seen deals literally blow up, companies blow up because simple things, they just agreed on what you and I would call just kind of simple, normal business occurrences. But they didn't do any of this background work kind of before they got started and got together as partners. And again, most of this stuff can be done up front. How do we handle disagreements? How do you like to do that? Who could we use to come in? I mean, all these things can be done well before the disagreement happens, and it should be done well before the disagreements happen. So you at least understand, here's some steps we can do to get through this kind of stuff. Agreeing to disagree, completely okay. Completely fine. That's completely fine. Don't worry about that. You can easily agree to disagree. Again, when you have a 51% person and a 49% person where somebody has at least can make the final decision, say, we're going to do it this way, the 49% may just say, you know what, I'm going to do it this way because we've agreed to this, but I disagree with it, right? It's okay, but if you're completely off the rails about it, then it's not going to work. And last but not least is there's no winner. You can't be like, hey, I won. That attitude is not going to work for a partnership between two co-founders or three co-founders, right? You can't be, I won, you lost. That kind of attitude is just going to, I will guarantee you at some point in time your company will blow up if that's the kind of process you go through to resolve conflict. There can't be winners and losers. It's just got to be what's best for the company based on everyone's opinion, and somebody's going to have to make that final call. So that's the thing about how to deal with conflict with founders or partners. It's not easy. It's going to happen. Prepare for it, and you'll be a much better running company, and all your employees will love you much more for it, because conflict between founders is very tough for the employees around you. And people don't quite understand that, but they do see it and they can feel it, even if it's hidden. So be aware of that. That is question 26. I will talk to you soon. Take care.